Creating OTP component is not a big challenge for React developer in coding interviews these days. However, I have noticed that many developers rush to complete it quickly during interviews, which often leads to mistakes. You need to break down the components, explain your thought process, and ask questions to the interviewer before you start coding. Trust me, this is common problem many people face, especially when they're doing a coding round for their first time. Today, I'll create an OTP component. Not only will we create the OTP component, but I will also explain how to present yourself in front of the interviewer and what questions to ask before you start coding. Trust me, it's not just about building the OTP component, it's also about how you perform in the coding round along with your code implementation. Now, what questions you should ask before start coding, right? So here, I have created a couple of example questions for this React OTP input component. Let's see what these are. First one, how many digit or characters should the OTP input component handle? Should the OTP input accept only the numbers or should it support both numbers and text? Also, you can ask what should happen when a user presses backspace. Should it move focus to the preview field and clear it? So these are the valid questions. When you ask them, the interviewer will be pleased because it shows you understand what you are going to build and you are clarifying the requirements. Trust me, clarifying the requirement plays a vital role when developing a feature in a software company. I believe that if you are watching this tutorial, you are now a bit more conscious about what to do before you start coding. This is exactly what I want from you. So let's start today's session on building a React OTP component. I'll show you how to break down the component and write a clean code in front of the interviewer. Here is the final product so you can visualize what you are going to build in today's session. From now on, you won't need to install a third-party OTP input component for your project. You can create your own. If you want, you can even publish it as an NPM package. As you can see, the OTP length is 6 characters, but this can be adjusted based on your requirement. When you type the first character, it will automatically focus on the next OTP field. If you press the backspace, it will remove the current digit and focus on the previous field. This is the final product that we are going to build now. You will find the GitHub link on the description below. I have created a React app with a white and tailwind. Here you can see the steps. Please follow it and create a new React app. We will start it from scratch. First of all, you need to create a React app with Byte. Then install the tailwind CSS. After that, configure the tailwind config file and add the utility class on the index.css file. After that, you can add the app.jsx code on your app.jsx file. When you run your code, you will see this hello world. I would request you to do these steps and code along with me. Now, let's move it to the VS Code. First of all, we'll create a component directory inside the src. We'll create a file otp-input.js. Write rafc for shortcut and import this component inside the app.jsx file. Modify .js to .jsx. Since we'll write the JSX code inside the OTP input component, so you should modify the .js to .jsx. Now you can see the OTP input component, it's showing on the browser. Here, as I said, the length of the OTP, it definitely depend on your requirement. For that, we'll receive the length as a props in a OTP input component. For example, we'll receive length in OTP input component. So now, if I send length as a 6, then we'll add the functionality. Our OTP length should be 6. That means we'll see the 6th input field on the browsers. Let's create a state to store the OTP. Here, inside the use state, we can create a new array with length and fill with empty string. Now we'll map through the OTP to add the input field. We'll gather data and index. Now return the input from here. Key should be index. Type should be text. Since we are supporting both digit and character. Max length should be 1. And value should be data. Let's see how it shows on the browser. Since it's not visible properly here, let's add some style here. I have added width is 14, height is 14, border 3px, MR5, text 2xl, text should be medium, round LG, text center and border gray 600. Now if we see on the browser, we should see a beautiful looking OTP input component. Since we have added length as 6, that's why we are seeing the 6 input field. If we add it here as 8, we should be able to see the 8 input. You can see here, we are able to see the 8 input field, but the standard one is a 6. Let's keep it 6. Let's add onChange here. Let's create a function for onChange. It will receive two things. One is element, another one is index. Here, let's call the handle change with the dot target, that would mean the element, and the index. Here inside the handle change, we'll do a couple of things. For example, our target for handle change should be get the input values, update the OTP state. After that, move focus to the next input. And finally, update the parent component. Parent component means here my expectation is to get the new OTP from the parent component. For that, we can pass a function called onChange OTP. So that has to be a function called handle change OTP that we need to create. It will receive new OTP as a parameter, and we can console log it here for now. And to store this OTP, you can create a new state here called OTP set OTP. And we can update a new OTP to the set OTP state. Okay. Now what I can do here, I can add a h1. I can write enter OTP should be our OTP, right? And I can make it as a text is a 3XL font, boom, just to displaying the content to the users. Okay, let's add the functionality here, right? Let's add the function. Okay, before that, let's get the props from that we have actually sent from the parent component, right? That was onChange OTP. Let's copy the function name, paste it here. Okay, let's focus on to make a functionality on for the handle change. First task, as we said, we need to get the input values, right? So we can get the input values const value is equal to element if there is no value, we will return the function. Now if we have the value, we need to update the OTP state. Now we'll create a new OTP const OTP is equal to, we'll create a new copy of the OTP. I'll tell you why I'm creating a new OTP here. This is necessary because we should never directly mutate the state in React, right? We can't directly mutate the state in a React. So for that reason, we need to create a new copy of the current OTP state. Now, new OTP index is equal to value. Update the state, set OTP should be new OTP, right? As of now, we have handled two functionalities. We got the input values, and we have update the OTP state. Now we need to move focus to the next and update the parent component. To move focus to the next input component, we need a condition. Condition is index less than length -1 and definitely value should be there. So here we are checking if the current index is not the last one and if there is a value in the current input field, right? So now we need to call the element dot next sibling dot focus. Next sibling is a DOM property that gets the next element sibling of the current element. If our condition is true, then it will call the next sibling dot focus function. I hope you understand that part. Now our final task is to update the parent component, right? So if you remember, onChange OTP is coming from the parent, right? So if we want to update, we need to call that function onChange OTP with new OTP dot join, right? So now it will receive a string. So if I write something here, I should be able to update here. See, as you can see, right? Once I'm typing here, okay, let me show you again. If I type the first character, see, automatically the cursor is moving to the next input element, right? Now if I type again, it is moving to the next input element, right? And also you are seeing our parent state is got updated, right? So that's how our handle change should work. So we have successfully got the input values here. Let me revise again. We have got the input values here and we have updated the OTP state. We have created a new copy of the current state because in a React, we can't directly mutate the React state, right? For that reason, we have created a new copy of the current state and we have updated the value and we have set the updated value in the set OTP state, right? Now our focus is to move focus to the next input element, right? But for that, we can't directly add the element.nextSibling.focus function because if the current index is not the last one and if there is a value, then only we can call the element.nextSibling.focus function. And finally, we have to update the parent component. For that, we have called the onChange OTP with new OTP.join function. By doing that, our parent component will receive the updated OTP in a string version. Now, only one more functionality is left, which is the backspace functionality. Now, at the moment, if we click the backspace, if we hit the backspace, nothing is happened, right? But our expectation is should be remove the current value and move the cursor to the previous input element, right? That functionality that we need to develop. Now let's set onKey down in the input element. So we need to add a condition here. If key is equal to backspace, then only we'll call a function called handle backspace that we need to create. With e.target and index. Let's create handle backspace function. It will receive element and index as the parameters. We need 3 expectations from here, right? So first one is we need to clear the current input field, right? So we need to clear the current input field, right? And we need to move focus to the previous input. Move focus to the previous input. And finally, we need to update the parent component. So these are the expectations from this handle backspace function. Now, to clear a current input field, we need to create a new OTP. Since I have said, right, in the first part of the video, we can't directly mutate the React state. For that reason, we need to create a new OTP to copy the current state. And we need to update, or we could say the delete the current value. And we need to update the set OTP state with new OTP. So now we have cleared the current input field. Now we need to move focus to the previous input. But there is a condition. If we are on the 0th position, if we move our cursor to the previous input element, so there is no previous input element, right? So the condition is if index is greater than 0, then we can move our cursor to the previous position, right? If index greater than 0, we are getting index as a parameter from this handle backspace function. So only in that time we can call the element dot previous sibling dot focus. We can call the function when our condition is met, index greater than 0, right? Now we clear the input, we move focus to the previous input. Now final task is to update the parent component, right? So how we actually update the parent component? It's simple. The same function we need to call here on change OTP with new OTP with join function. Now if we save it and if we refresh here, and if we try to write down something here, and you can see if I press the backspace, it is removing the current state and moving cursor to the previous state. But if we are on the 0th position, I mean the first input element, it should not go cursor to the previous element because there is no previous element, right? Our condition is something like that. If index greater than 0, that means if we are on the second position or second input field only, that time we will call the previous element dot previous sibling focus function, right? Now if we clear, see our cursor is on the 0th position. Now if we try to hit something and our OTP state got updated and our cursor is moving, parent OTP state got updated, and each and everything works perfectly, right? Now you can see, now if I want to revise one more time, so what we did, first time we have created a OTP component here, right? And we have taking length and onChange OTP as a function, right? Length is variable, so we can add any number of the a digit here. So it completely depends on the requirement. onChange OTP, this is a function to get the updated OTP in the parent component, right? So in the parent component you can see I have added a OTP, right? OTP state, and I am getting the updated OTP here in the parameter on handle change OTP parameter, and we are setting that updated OTP to the OTP state, and we are showing the OTP in the in the browsers here. Okay, this was the parent component. Now if we go to the OTP component, we actually mostly did 2 major functionality here. One is the handle change, another one is the handle backspace, right? Now if I want to revise again, first of all, here we got the values, right? We got the values here, and we have updated the state, right? We have update this OTP state here. We have moved our cursor to the next input element. We have update our parent component. That's it. That was our handle change functionality, right? And in the handle backspace, what we did, we have first cleared the current input field, right? We have cleared the current value of the input field. We have moved focus to the previous input field if condition if index is greater than 0, and we have updated the parent component, and it's the same function that we have called here, right? And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoy this video. So this is a full playlist that I'm creating now for the React machine coding interview questions. If you go to my channel, in the playlist you will find a playlist called React interview questions. I would request you guys to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching this video.